Hey guys, Ben Sturdivant with ExponentialFreedom.com. Thank you so much for plugging in today. Wanted to tell you my story, just so you can see kind of where I came from and how I got involved in this network marketing profession. I'll take you back to 1997. I was a junior in college. I was working towards a career in physical therapy. It's actually what I ended up doing out of school, but I was dating a girl who I went to high school with at the time, and I was over at her house one evening, and her father, who would later become my father-in-law, said I should come take a look at a way to make some extra money. And, you know, I was a college student. I didn't really have a desire to make extra money or have any mind for business, or I wasn't an entrepreneur. I just thought, well, I like this guy's daughter, so I should probably go. And I went down and I took a look at a meeting. It was my first exposure to network marketing, and this was Excel Communications. Back in the day, I can say the company's name because obviously they're not in the network marketing world anymore. But I went down and went through the presentation, and this was back in 97, an old flip chart. This old flip chart that a guy was doing in front of the room at a local hotel here in Santa Rosa. And he was going through this process and got to the page of residual income. And I loved it. I mean, I just bought into it. It was perfect. All I had to do was find 3, and they'd find 3, and that's 9, and then 27, and then 81, and 243, and 729, and it was just perfect. So I went home, I signed up on the spot, went home, took the guy's kit home with me. It was this giant, massive thing with all kinds of information about the compensation and the products and everything. And I read through the entire thing, and I loved it, okay? Kept carrying my girlfriend at the time up till probably 2 in the morning talking about all the things that I was going to do. And like most people, I was excited. And I went out the next day, and I followed the training. Hadn't been trained yet, hadn't gone to a training yet, but I followed the training, and it said make a list and, you know, call those people and invite them to look at some information. So I did that. I called one of my best friends. His name was Dylan, and I called up Dylan. I said, Dylan, I found something that's awesome. You've got to take a look at it. I don't know if it's, you really have to see it. Now, up until that point, I was following the script. I was perfect. And what did Dylan say? He said, well, what is it, Ben? So instead of following the system, which at the time was just to bring over a videotape and pop it in for him, remember, this is 1997, didn't really have the internet yet. The websites weren't really out there. DVDs weren't around yet. So instead of following the system, I proceeded to tell him. And of course, I spent the next, hour and 45 minutes on the phone with Dylan talking about all the ins and outs of the compensation and telling him all the great things about that company and the product. And of course, he didn't join. My best friend, who I was sure was going to join with me, avoided me for probably 6 months. And my next 3 years in that company, I set the world on fire. After 3 years with that company, I had 24 people on my team, 23 of which I paid for to join, which of course was against the company rules at the time. Naturally, I was not a network marketer. I was not a leader. I did not set the world on fire. I spent way more money than I ever made. But what ended up happening was, after I got out of school, my wife went off to be a microbiologist. I was working in physical therapy. I had something happen to me, and that was my wife and I wanted to start a family. And she really wanted to be home with her kids. And she was 60% of our income. And we live in Santa Rosa, California, which is in the wine country, very expensive place to live. And if she was going to be able to do that, I was going to have to find a way to make more money. And it was really important for her to be home with her kids. Her mom was a server in a restaurant and didn't spend a lot of time at home. If you know any servers in restaurants, they're there, they're gone from probably 4 to midnight. So it was really important for her to be home with her kids. And I wanted to make that happen. So I made a promise to her. And it wasn't okay for me to let her down. And it was making that commitment and that promise that kept me in the game. It kept me building. It kept me learning. It kept me growing. And eventually, I ended up having some success with that company. Over the years, that company decided to go in a different direction. And I did too, and went with a startup company and did very, very well. Unfortunately, that company really couldn't keep up with what we were doing. And then I eventually found my existing company, and millions of dollars and tens of thousands of people later, it's all wonderful. But sort of the moral of my story is you've got to find something that's going to push you to build your business even when you don't want to. I call it finding your pain. I really feel that people are motivated by two things. They're motivated by pain and they're motivated by pleasure. And I think most people are motivated by pain. So find what your pain is. For me, it was letting my wife down. I didn't want to do that. That was not okay with me. It was I would much rather go through the pain of rejection and prospecting and no-shows and the the adversity we've talked about before in network marketing. I was much more willing to go through that than to let my wife down. You've got to find something that is painful for you and turn it around and use it to your advantage. And that's what's going to push you to build a business. And that's the secret. It's building your business even when you don't want to. When you can find the time or find something that pushes you like that, everything else will take care of itself. You'll find a way. You'll be motivated enough to talk to more people. You'll be motivated enough to continue the process of building a business, and it becomes a lot more fun when you make it a habit, and it becomes a habit when you do it over and over again. But you've got to get to that point, and it's finding that pain that will do that. So hopefully you enjoy my little story there. Keep fighting the fight, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.